Even more successful in Le Mans at the end of the 60s, this big banger, an icon formed from horsepower and sculpture. 40-inch flat, so only 1 meter tall. The Ford GT40. But the project victory in Le Mans initially threatened to be a flop for Ford USA.
So when Ford presented the GT40 to the public, I guess the project was initially not taken seriously by its opponents, because unlike the European vehicles working with relatively small displacement at high speeds, the Ford engine was a beefy 8-cylinder with plenty of capacity, but sometimes even with camshafts lying underneath.
In the victorious version with a 7-liter capacity, the power plant produced 485 horsepower at the crankshaft, top speed over 340. After several years of motorsports, Henry Ford II wants to be successful in international motorsports again. Win on Sunday, sell on Monday. And for this, Ford wants to buy the winning Ferrari team. But at the last minute, Enzo Ferrari says no. Henry Ford then constructs a car that will devastatingly beat the Ferraris at Le Mans, the GT40. The first time at Le Mans in 1964, all 3 GT40s retire from the race, and a Ferrari wins. 1965, and Ford launches 6 GT40s. 3 Ferraris win. A year later, Ford comes with an armada of 13 GT40s to Le Mans. For the first time, the nemesis Ferrari has to admit defeat. The Fords are number 1, 2, and 3. A costly triumph. Ford invested up to that $36 million in the project. 1967 is again the GT40 that drives away from the competition at Le Mans. It is the strong and reliable V8 engine which makes the Ford so dominant.
I had the pleasure to drive a car like this in 1967 together with Jackie Ickx in Le Mans. The Ford engines had an amazing torque. Whenever you stepped on the gas, no matter what gear it was in, they had power in abundance. In Le Mans, we then on the long straights, which was then about 7 kilometers long, we were without harassment more than 300 kilometers driven, and the full distance over 24 hours, a great car.
Assistance in the development was done by Carroll Shelby, the father of a legendary Cobra and Le Mans winner of 1959. Only with much fine work did the GT40 develop into a winner.
When we took off from the starting line in '66 and '67, we weighed 4,000 pounds with a driver and a gasoline. The kinetic energy at the end of that 3.5-mile straight was so high from brake temperatures and so forth that the brakes would have probably lasted 2 or 3 hours, and that would have been all. We had engines, gearboxes that lasted. We had some very good people taking care of the cars, but the fact that we could change the brakes in 1 minute was the key.
The GT40 wins in Le Mans 4 times in a row from 1966 to '69. And Ferrari does not win a single race anymore in the 24-hour classic. The GT40, a real cult racing car.